The third sit of the committee on Monday, 17 November 2025. Please take note of the correction. It's not October 2025, November 2025. Super. The third sit of the committee on Monday, 17 November 2025. The committee interviewed the nominee on oath, Mr. C. Arnold Grant, proposed Minister, Ministry of Energy. Hold on, so we can vote SNPP ABC. Suiting back. I've actually agreed. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the energy sector is at the fore of this government's programs to ensure it matches with the increasing consumer needs. Much focus has been placed on the sector, and lots have been implemented by government following recognition of the SY long-serving minister Alhaji Kanja Sisi. These two deputy ministers were recently approved by this House. Special Office of the Energy and Infrastructure Initiative was created to garner donor attention to the energy crisis, and the whole ministry was later placed under the presidency for a closer follow-ups and understanding on the energy sector's operations, which has yielded remarkable strides in the generation capacity. To maintain these positive supervisions of the ministry, a technocrat not only abreast with the sector, but has been in the thick and thin of energy operations, with commitment is required to carry this vision of government in creating more access to light and curb operational insufficiencies relating to financial unsuitability, regulatory challenges of EXA, EGTC, EWRC, capacity constraints of technical professionals, and over-reliance on government subsidies and donor funding, amongst others. It was in this vein, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that Mr. Cyril Arnold Grant, the proposed minister, was grilled by the committee with thoroughness to ascertain his stance on the numerous risks of energy sector. His pectoral of experience spanning over a decade in the same sector, especially at the helm of securing consensus on policies and government directions, favored Mr. Grant as seasoned technocrat on national electricity provision. On his incredible services, the committee carefully noted, one, that from 2018 to October 2025, the nominee served as the executive technical advisor on the policy and programs in the capacity. He assisted the minister on key project derivatives in meeting the desired benchmarks and time frame, supported private sector participation with advice on favorable policies and legislations, monitored, coordinated, and reported on project implementations to ensure value for money, build and maintain relationships with donors and MDAs vital to the energy sector. Until recently, in relation to the above, the nominee was coordinator of the World Bank project on enhancing solar energy access, ESLPA, on the UNOP solar mini grid and electrification projects for health centers and schools in Moyamba district. He also led as project negotiator for Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, we call it CLSG transmission line, acted as project support lead and liaison for Millennium Compact development. For the Millennium Compact development, was a lead for the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, they call JICA, World Bank funding of energy sector, to name but a few. Mr. Grant, a quiet and unassuming technocrat, holds a bachelor's degree in architecture from the Temple University of Philadelphia in 1986 and a Master in Facility Management from the Pratt University of the School of Architecture, New York, 2009. Prior to obtaining for services in his home country, he worked for credible engineering institutions abroad, such as one, the Turner Construction, New York, as construction engineer 2004 to 2014. Deutsche Bank as vice president of facilities 2001 to 2003. New York, Pristine Perry Design as senior consultant project manager and host of other services in the United States of America. Responding to the committee on the current energy status, tariffs and intentions, the soft-spoken but assuring nominee acknowledged the prevailing problems hidden the optical generation of power, but since 2020, much progress has been made, though the sector remains heavily under-subsidized by government. Quoting him, in the last 10 years, government has pumped in over $20 million for power generation, but Freetown still relies on car power ship and Bumuna. We are running a system that needs incredible amounts of overhaul the energy infrastructure, but it is difficult to realize this when there are about 50% loss in tariffs due to energy theft that has impacted more on increased government subsidies. End of quote. He promised to investigate energy wastages and theft seriously and will appeal for accelerated legal procedures through the fast-track court system to prosecute defaulters. On rural solar mini-grid tariff, differential with the capital, he said the city was subsidized while the mini-grid operated on private partnership, rated in accordance with increase on concluded on long-term legislative vision of making Sierra Leone a net exporter of power rather than just a net importer. Mr. Grant was applauded across the party line as gigantic turbine beneath a calmer administrative waters that generated mega energy ideas behind the scenes. I think Mr. Grant would also like to repeat this engineering phrase. Mr. Speaker, he concluded on a long-term legislative vision for making Sierra Leone a net exporter of power rather than just a net importer. Mr. Grant was applauded across the party line as a gigantic turbine beneath a calmer administrative waters that generated mega energy ideas behind the scenes. The committee adjourned the presidential nominee to be adequately qualified for the proposed appointment and therefore recommended to the House for approval. Mr. C. Arnold Grant, proposed Minister of Energy. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, with our first said, I therefore move that the fourth report, except on the third sitting of the third session of the Committee on Appointment and Public Service, adopted by the House and the recommendations contained therein submitted read by the Chairman of the Committee, Honorable Matisa Numa GP. Thank you very much for your attention.
Any seconder to that motion? Honorable members, the question is that the fourth report of the third session of the sixth parliament of the Committee on Appointment and Public Service be adopted by the House and that the recommendations contained therein be approved.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the nominee that is before us needs not to spend the whole day here because we all know the importance of energy. Energy is known to be one of the sectors that energizes our economy. There is no way you can have a booming economy if energy do not thrive, because almost everything hinges on energy. On that note, we want to assure our nominee and the team from the energy sector and beyond that are here that will be very brief, because the nominee that is before us is seen to be one that is very much qualified and one that has an hands-on experience in the energy sector. He's been in the energy sector way back, even I could say, or I can say in all his life. When you look at his resume, he's worked in the US, then he came back to Leone, continued to serve in the energy sector, and he has been in almost most of the critical interventions that governments, successive governments have invested in the energy sector. So I believe with his current capacity being that he holds before his nomination as being the executive technical advisor, I believe that he has been one of the engines that has been propelling whatever growth we have been seeing in the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we know for sure that we are not there yet. The need for energy continues to grow. And as per statistics, it is seen that we are still at around 36% energy access, even though government is targeting to achieve at least 78% of energy access by 2030. But yet, the challenges are still there. We believe that there are things that we need to do, because we believe energy, like they always say, they are grappling with, they will say technical losses, they will say energy theft, and a whole lot of others. But we think that these are also issues that can be mitigated. The reason why the energy sector was unbundled is for the sectors, whether it's EGTC, whether it's EDSA, whether it's EWRC, which is supposed to regulate the sector, to be business-oriented. And when you are business-oriented, your objective is to make profit. So even your investment, you have to make sure that you invest in sectors that can encourage you to enhance profit. I think this is one of the challenges the energy sector is facing. I kept asking this question, while I continue to be baffled. Why is it that almost 7 years we are still relying on tap power, which is an emergency energy power source? And Mr. Speaker, the cost of energy, the per kilowatt cost of the tap power is very, very, it's about 27.something cents, dollar cents, which is way, way too high. When you compare that to what we are getting from Bumbuna, which is around 18, around 8, so it's about 10 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour. Mr. Speaker, you can see that, and like for Dodo, which was also part of one of the energy sources, which has been lately abandoned, what it is even offering, and in terms of cost per kilowatt, it's not even up to 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So it tells you that we have other sources of energy which we could depend on that will enable EDSA to get cheaper cost rather than resorting to a very expensive energy source, which will be left with no option but to pass on this same high cost to consumers. And this is why we are suffering as Leoneans. What we are paying on average is around 28 cents per kilowatt hour. It's relatively way too high. And if you look at, when you look at the simple calculations between all the major sources, from Bumbuna to CLSG, which is around 18 cents or so, when you do the average of everything, it's around, we are talking about almost 18 cents per kilowatt hour. Even though the cost to energy is not just about the source of the energy that I get from EXA or from EGTC. There are also other costs, for distribution costs and other administrative costs. Those are all parts of the cost that they are considering to determine the cost per kilowatt hour that's useful to consumers. But my concern here is I want to believe that EDSA needs to focus on more renewable sources, which are proven to be cheaper sources than relying on HFOs which sources are always very, very much high. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we also believe that there is a vast discrepancy between the cost of access to energy between the rural poor and the people that tend to be affluent, that because normally people that live in the city. And I'm happy that the proposed minister noted that point, because our belief is that if I'm in the provinces, Mr. Speaker, and my source of energy is renewable, what is believed is renewable sources should be cheaper. But what we experience as a nation is the reverse. What our people are paying in the rural areas far outweigh what we are paying in the urban areas. If I'm in Freetown, in Leone, I'm paying around 6,500 per kilowatt hour, whereas those that are in the provinces are paying between 18 to 21 leos per kilowatt hour, which is very, very much even when they are using solar. And if there are any category of people that we should cater for, if there are any category of people that we should be particular for in terms of subsidy or in terms of intervention, it should be the rural poor. Because they don't need energy for industrial purposes. They just need that to enhance their learning, to enhance their basic livelihoods. And so therefore, to charge their phones, to improve their education outcomes, as the case may be. So I think that we have to pay serious attention on the cost of access to energy sources that are being provided for rural communities. And even those facilities, the reality now is most of them are not even working. Most of them are not working. They are complete all over. Apart from the cost challenges people are facing, even the functionality of those facilities are even now challenged. So I think, except otherwise, but we know solar is known to be sustainable. So it's baffling that something that is tend to be sustainable, something that is tend to be durable, for it to just last or to just have community for just 4 to 5 years, sends some